While thus the gods in various league engage, Achilles glowed with more than mortal rage. Hector he sought, in search of Hector turned. His eyes around for Hector only burned, and burst like lightning through the ranks and vowed to glut the god of battles with his blood. Aeneas was the first who dared to stay. Apollo wedged him in the warrior's way, but swelled his bosom with undaunted might, half forced and half persuaded to the fight. Like the long-eyed crayon of the royal line, in voice and aspect seemed the power divine, and bade the chief reflect how late with scorn, in distant threats he braved the goddess born. Then thus the hero of Anchises strain, to meet Pelides you persuade in vain. Already have I met, nor void of fear, observed the fury of his flying spear. From Ida's woods he chased us to the field. Our force he scattered and our herds he killed. Lais, Renus, Pedias, and ashes lay, but Jove assisting I survived the day. Else I had sunk, oppressed the fatal night. Fight, wherever he moved, the goddess shone before, and braved his brazen lance in hostile gore. When mortal man Achilles had cannon sting, the immortals guard him through the dreadful plain, and suffer not his star to fall in vain, where my God and my aid with power. Through the strong and power brazen tower, to whom the son of Jove the god implore, and be what great Achilles was before. From heavenly Venus thou derives the strain, and Hebe from a sister of the main, an agency god, father of his line, but Jove himself the sacred source of dawn. Then lift thy weapon for a noble blow, nor fear the vaunting of a mortal foe. This said, and spirit breathed into his breast, through the thick troops of the unbound hero pressed. His virtuous acts the white-armed queen surveyed, and thus assembled all the power she said, behold in action gods that claims your care. The great Aeneas rushing to the war, against Pelides he directs his course. Phoebus impels and Phoebus gives him force. Restrain his bold career, at least attend. Our favorite hero lets some power descend, to guard his life and add to his renown. We the great armament of heaven came down. Hereafter let him fall as fate's design, that spun so short his life's illustrious line. But lest some adverse god not cross his way, give to him now the powers assist his day. For now shall mortal assist our alarms, when heaven's refulgent host appear in arms. Thus she and thus the god whose force can make their solid globes eternal bias shake. Against that might of man so feeble known, why should celestial powers exert their own? Suffice from yonder mount to view the scene, and lead toward the fates of mortal men. How if the prominent god of light obstructed Achilles of promise from the fight, thence of the gods of Troy swift descend. For soon I doubted not shall the conflict end, and these in rend the confection hurled. Shield our human gods of lower world. Thus having said, the tyrant of the sea, Coerulean Neptune rose and led the way. Advanced upon the field there stood a mound of earth, congested, walled, entrenched around. In other times to guard Achates made the work of Trojans with Minerva's aid. With time a vengeful monster of the main swept the wide shore and drove him to the plain. Here Neptune and the gods of Greece repair, with clouds encompassed and a veil of air. The adverse powers from around Apollo laid, crowned the fair hills that glowed silver summer shade. In circle close each heavenly part sat, intent to form the future scheme of fate. But mix not yet in the fight, though Jove on high gives the loud signal and the heavens reply. Meanwhile the rushing armors hide the ground, the trampled scepter is of hollow sound. Steeds chased in mail, the chiefs in armor bright, and gleaming clampion glows the brazen light. Amid the host and dreadful place appear, there a great Achilles, bold Aeneas here. With towering strides Aeneas first advanced, the nodding plumage on his helmet danced. Spread over his breast the fusing shield he bore, and so he moved the javelin flame before. Not so Pelides furious to engage, he rushed impetuous, such the lion's rage. who viewing first his foes with scornful eyes, through all in arms the people's city drives, stalks careless on with unregarding pride, till at the length some brave youth defied, his bold spear to the savage turns alone, he murmurs fury with a hollow groan. He grins, he foams, he rolls his eyes around, lashed by his tails the heaving seas resound, he calls up his rage, he grinds his teeth, resolved on vengeance or resolved on death. So fierce Achilles and Aeneas flies, so stands Aeneas and his force defies, yet ere its counter-join begun, the seed of Thetis thus to Venus' son. Why comes Aeneas through the ranks so far? Seeks he to meet Achilles' arm in war, in hope in realms of Priam to enjoy, and prove his merits to the throne of Troy. Grant that beneath thy lance Achilles dies, the partial monarch may refuse the prize. Sons he had many, lose thy pride may quell, and 'tis the fault to love the sons too well. Or in regard of thy virtuous hand, has proposed some precious tract of land, the forest or fair domain, of his hills of fair, of granful or grain. Even this perhaps will hardly prove thy lot, but can Achilles be so soon forgot? Once, as I think, he saw this brandished spear, and thence the great Achilles seemed so fear. With hearty haste from Ida's mount he fled, nor till he reached the Larinus' turn's head, her lofty walls not long her progress stayed, this palace driven we in ruin is laid. In Grecian chains her captive race recast, 'tis true that great Aeneas fell love too fast, defrauded of my compass from her fore, but then I lost the gods this day before, who while the eyes of lone train of fate, fools stay to feel it, or wise too late, to this enchanting sun such words employ, to one that fears thee unwordlike boy. Thus we disdain, defied with meaner prejudice and unmanly pride, upworthy the high race from which we came, proclaimed so loudly by the voice of fame. Each from illustrious fathers draw his line, each goddess born half human, half divine. Thetis is his day, or Venus' offspring dies, and tears shall trickle from his celestial eyes. For those who meet here us just contend, 'tis not your words the glorious strife can end. If yet thou farther seek to learn my birth, a tale resounded through the spacious earth, hear how the glorious legend reprove. How ancient Dardanus, the first from Jove, Dardania's walls he raised from Ilion then, the city skids of many-leaguered men was not. The natives were content to till the shady foot of Ida's bountiful hill. From Dardanus great Erytheus is spread, the richest one, Aegea's wealthy kings. 3,000 mares on her pastures bred, 3,000 foals beside their mothers fed. Boreas, enamored of the sprightly mane, concealed his godhead in a flowing mane. With voice dissembled to his loves he neighed, and coursed the doubtful beauties over the main. Hence sprung the 12 others of Renroyal kind, spring swift to mothers' mares and fathers' wine. These lightly skimming when they swept the plain, nor pawed the grass, nor bent the tender grain. And when along the surface seas they flew, scarce on the surface cold the briny dew. Such Erytheus was, from him there came the sacred trust, from whom the Trojan name. 3 sons renowned adorned the nuptial bed, Ilus, Arachacus, and Ganymed, the bounteous Ganymed divinely far, who heaven him adored, snatched up her air, to bear the cup of Jove, ethereal guest, the grace and glory of ambrosial feast. The 2 remaining sons the line divide. The first was Laomedon from Ilia's side, from Tityus now in cares grown old, and Priam blessed with Hector brave and bold. Clytius and Lampus, however honored pair, and Hector thunderbolt of Ware. From great Dioskos spring Capus begat Anchides, and Anchides me. Such is our race, 'tis fortune as of birth. But Jove alone endues the soul with worth. He source of power and might with boundless sway. All courage human gives, or gives takes away. Long in the field of words we may contend. Reproach is infinite and knows no end. Armed with word, truth or falsehood, right or wrong, so valuable weapon is the tongue. Wounded we fail, nor ever man can spring to rail. Women alone then in the streets they jar. Perhaps it's tell us in this wordy war. Like us they stand encompassed with the crowd, and vent their anger impotent and loud. Cease then our business in the field of fight is not to question, but to prove our might. To all those insults that hast proffered here, receive the answer, 'tis my flying spear. He spoke with all the force his javelin flung, fixed deep and loud in the buckler run. Far on his outstretched arm Pelides held, to meet the thundering lance his dreadful shield. That trembled as it struck, nor void of fear, so ere it filled the immeasurable sphere. His fears were vain, impenetrable calms searched his temper of the ethereal harms. Through the strong plates the points of bled, but stopped and rested in the third repled. 5 plates mold, composed of shield, brass each outward fold, of tin each inward in the middle gold. There stuck the lance, and there he threw the forceful spirit of great Achilles flew, and pierced Dardan's shield's extremest bound, where the shrill brass returned a sharper sound. Through the thin verge Helena gripping glides, and his slight quivering expanded hides. Aeneas his contract body bends, and over him high the riven large extends. Sees through the parting plates the upper air, and his back perceives the quivering spear. A fate so near him chills his soul with fright, and swims before his arms the many-colored light. Achilles rushing with the dreadful cries draws his broad blade, and Aeneas flies. Aeneas rousting as the foe came on, with force collected heaven serves a mighty stone. A mass enormous which in modern days no two of earth's degenerate sons could raise. But ocean's God, whose earthquakes rocked the ground, saw the distress and moved the powers around.